Hey everybody, it's Never, and I'm going over something I've been working on a little bit in Guild Wars 2 here. I was using the built-in freestyle / game filter / Ansel thing with the NVIDIA driver, and I kept having issues with it where anything but the stock filters would die after a while and refuse to load. So I went and looked around and went the classic reshade route, and that was okay, but I found something a little better, which is G-shade, so that's a thing. A lot of the Final Fantasy XIV crowd have been going crazy with that, but this is what I've come up with so far, and there's still some things I want to do, and it's a bit of a work in progress. There's some artifacts that shouldn't exist there and whatnot. But to give you an idea of what's going on here, one is there's dynamic depth of field, and there's even a rudimentary thing here that will preserve the readability of the text a little bit, even when the depth of field is active. And there's also a couple of other things. Specifically, the most notable is real-time ray tracing, which I've found a way to kind of hack into here. To demonstrate how powerful this effect is, I'm just going to turn it off. And so this is what it normally looks like, which is fine. That's great. But with it on, you get quite a bit more detail and far more realistic lighting, in my opinion, but obviously stylized the way I like it with, hello, saturated colors. But this is what I've got going on to give you an idea of the performance impact. We'll let this load up a little bit. I had some real render latency issues, but I was able to resolve that. With this turned off, I can get my latency down. It's usually in like the high 10s, which is really great, and it approximately doubles when I enable all the stuff, but it barely affects my frame rate at all. And so sacrificing 10 milliseconds of render latency is really worth it to me to get things like ray tracing and depth of field and all of that fun stuff. I'm happy to go into some more detail on this if anyone is really interested. Like I said, it's a work in progress. I haven't figured out everything I want to do with it yet, but I'm very happy with how it's turned out and how it looks so far, and it is quite playable. I guess to demonstrate that, let me head over to the Christmas area and demonstrate how playable it is. We can just wait while this goes. Graphics settings wise, everything's turned up as high as it goes. Rendering at native resolution and all that jazz. The ray tracing does some really fun stuff in this environment just because of how bright the snow is by default. I can show you on the Christmas trees here. If I turn this off, then everything looks a little different, and like the dark and the light sort of switch places. But it's I don't know. Like up here, the occlusion does some goofy stuff, whereas with it gone, it looks a little more natural. You can even affect the range of that, but it's really only in this area that I've noticed it does anything strange like that, so it's not really the best example of how this works, but this is what I'm playing with all the time. And to give you an idea of performance, again, I got everything turned up just as high as it'll go, and so it's with all of these people here and it rendering all of the character models all the time in full detail. It's, as you can see, really punching my frame rate in the face, but in a city like this and whatnot, I don't really care. So it's doing quite all right. Laptop's keeping up nicely for my purposes, and I could bring that frame rate up quite a bit if I just sacrificed a couple of things, but I don't feel like it. So anyway, that's what I've been working on. There's a couple other things I'd like to get figured out for it, but I just wanted to show you guys what I've been working on over the last little while with Guild Wars. There's obviously some color correction that needs to be fixed here because this all looks a little too green. Anyway, ramble. Okay, thanks, bye.